Welcome to Community Christian Podcast. Today we're going to talk a little bit about depression. So exciting.
Yes.
We, on Sunday in this series, Old Stories, we decided to look at Elijah. Mm-hmm. And particularly this story that happens on the top of Mount Carmel. He confronts the prophets of Baal. God shows up in a mighty way. But what was really interesting, we didn't get as much time to talk about, and we talked ultimately about God is with us on the mountaintop when we can see him. We feel like he's present. We can see that he worked. And then he's also with us in what we'll call the valley. And even in moments where we would say, man, I've moved into a depression, or there's a heaviness, or there's a loneliness, and people experience that in a lot of different ways. And for Elijah, it happens very quickly, one after the other, to be on the mountaintop and then in the valley. Yeah. And so you and I talk about this a lot. You wrote about this in your book, and we've mentioned it before, but I think it's worth going back to. So I'll start to walk us through. This is 1 Kings 19. This is Elijah's experience. God worked in a powerful way. A woman named Jezebel says, I'm going to kill you, Elijah. And even though he's seen God work, he's still human. Mm-hmm. Elijah's like us, even though he's the great prophet, and he gets scared. I mean, he has a human emotion. It says Elijah was afraid and ran for his life. And then it says, when he came to Beersheba in Judah, he left his servant there. So now he's alone, and he continues on in this journey. So he goes quite a distance to run from Jezebel. So he's probably spiritually worn out from all that he's been through. He's emotionally worn out. He's definitely physically worn out. And then he leaves his servant. And so you and I have partnered in ministry for a long time. And when people are on their spiritual journey, it's really concerning when we've done it, start to isolate ourselves, mm-hmm. and we start walking that journey alone. What's been some of your experience, or what's some of your thoughts for those watching on, man, there's going to be tough seasons. Some of those tough seasons follow really great seasons, right? We had the mountaintop experience, then we talk about coming down from that, and we can go from God so present to God, where are you? And sometimes we don't like to share about it, or we just think I'll get through it and I'll do it on my own, and we isolate.
Yeah, well, there's three things that I've thought through and had to walk through over the years, especially in ministry. One is not to let life get lonely. Sometimes we have to seek out people in our life, trusted people to share things with. I think of the analogy of having a Paul, a Barnabas, and a Timothy in your life. Paul is someone who's ahead of you in life, who can give you wisdom or teaching. A Barnabas is like your trusted friend, someone who's going to walk through the fire with you, who's just on your side. The Samwise Gamgee to Frodo, right?
Yeah, I love that analogy.
Just going to get you to where you need to go. And then the Timothy is the person that you're pouring into, the next generation, right? And so it's really important when you're experiencing sadness or depression to have somebody to simply talk to, whether it's, the Paul, Barnabas, or Timothy. The other thing is to put on not what I call, but what the Bible says is the garment of praise.
You took it from a good source.
I took it from a good source. The garment of praise, which comes from Isaiah 61:3, I believe. So it basically says, put on a garment of praise for a spirit of heaviness. And that just reminds me, and it reminds us, that we can choose, whether we're on the mountain or in the valley, we can choose to praise through it. Yeah. And we can choose gratitude. And when I'm experiencing sadness, the second thing that I do is just I will go on a praise walk, I'll just call it.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I'll get my body moving. I will call that trusted friend, and 1 minute phone call. Hey, can you pray for me? This is what's going on. All right, cool. Move forward. I've got worship music on. Maybe that's, just writing down things that you're grateful for. It can look a lot of different ways, but put on the garment of praise. And then the third thing is really just to give yourself grace as well. And so I know it is okay to be sad.
Yeah.
It's okay to be sad sometimes. Allow yourself to be sad and to be just sitting at the feet of Jesus, right? And saying, God, I need you in this moment. So those are the three things that have helped me. And prefacing that a little bit, or going backwards, I've had seasons of great ministry where we had a worship night and it was just an awesome night. Everything went great. And then the next day I just feel sad.
Yeah.
And it would happen often, and it would happen especially early in ministry, but it still happens today. And I thought I was going crazy. I just thought I was going crazy.
Yeah, Why am I down? When I just saw ministry happen, right? I've seen people, whether it's making decisions or moving into new places of worship in their life, you're like, I see all these wonderful things, and then you wake up the next day depleted or down.
Depleted, ungrateful, all the above, right? Yeah. And it's helpful to know that there's actually psychology behind that. So it's what's called the post-event blues.
Yeah.
And this happens when we're working towards any type of goal. It could be a vacation that we're about to go on. We go on the vacation. It was super fun. Disneyland was awesome. And then you get home and you're like, man, I'm just feeling kind of sad. So what happens in our brains, and God made our brains. God made all the chemistry. What happens in our brains is we have the dopamine hits, right? And then it just drops like a rock in the ocean, And so it was helpful for me to know that it wasn't me going crazy. It's just how our brains operate and how the chemistry in our bodies work. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor by any means. That's important to know. But these are things that have been helpful for me to know in navigating seasons of sadness or days of depression, I would say. That's what's been helpful for me.
Yeah, you said a lot there. But again, I think being aware that there are peaks and valleys, for some people stronger than others, to realize we're human like Elijah. We have emotions like sadness or loss or grief. To let ourselves lean into that, all right, not give ourselves over to it, but to acknowledge, this is where I'm at. I'm anxious today. I'm down. I don't feel like God's with me. To say that to someone else, to let somebody pray over you. Again, the thing that keeps us from walking with other people. First, we're the church. If you're a follower of Jesus, you're part of the church. You're part of a body, meaning we're to walk together. There's people with different giftedness and talent than you that can encourage you, and you can encourage. We're meant to build one another up, right? That whole, throughout the New Testament, one another. We are to love one another, encourage one another, all the one another's. We have to do that together. You can't do that isolated.
No.
And so the thing that keeps us from doing it always is pride. And you said this, we talked about this before. The thing that keeps me from reaching out to someone or even investing in someone else, we see that in a lot of addiction recovery. Hey, it's not just about you. Part of the way that you get healthy is by serving someone else, investing in someone else, reaching out to them, giving your time, right? Not making it just solely focused on you. But in our pride, we will sit and go, I'll work through it. I'll be fine. I've got this. Yeah. And we will get in a space like Elijah did where he isolates, and he thought, and I love the honesty of Scripture, even though he's such an amazing man of God, obviously this great prophet, he comes to a place where he thinks, I'm the only one. I'm the only one following God. I'm the only one doing this right. I'm the only one who cares about God's law and God's ways and God's morality and all of this. And that just wasn't true. And God reminds him of him that ultimately, like, listen, you're not alone. And when we isolate and start to believe those things or tell ourselves those things, we start saying, well, I care for everybody else. Nobody really cares for me. Nobody cares about my soul or my heart or taking care of me. It's just, that's not true. Yeah. Right? And we've got to put ourselves in those environments to connect with people. So he gets in this negative space. Let's just keep reading here together. And so he goes on by himself into the wilderness, and he gets to a place called the broom bush. And we'll talk about this for a minute. So he came to the broom bush, sat down under it, prayed, and is very honest. He said that he might die. He says to God, I have had enough, Lord. He said, take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. Then he lay down under the bush and fell asleep. Yeah. Really interesting moment. He has come to the end of himself. And I think there's different seasons. I think when we first come to Jesus, we have to come to the end of ourselves. The way I'm doing life doesn't work. I want Jesus' way. I think there's other moments of surrender in our life where we realize I'm trying to do this on my own. I'm trying to control it. In my pride, I've isolated, whatever it might be, but I come to the end of myself. And this is a moment for Elijah. And this broom bush, you were given a great example to me the other day. You heard some great teaching on this, of what the broom bush could represent in our life, kind of the symbolism that's here as we look towards Jesus. So talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, probably about 13 years ago now, I was really into this story of Elijah, and I was working on a song at the time. Never released that song. Probably it wasn't the best song, but anytime I'm working on a song, I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about the connection between the broom bush and the cross.
Yeah.
You know, it's this beautiful picture of, like you said, being at the end of yourself, but just sitting at the foot of the cross and saying, God, I need you. And it's a picture of grace in so many ways, because, you know, Elijah lets go of his pride at that point. He's like, I'm done. And then what is...
Yeah, not necessarily in the healthiest
not
way.
Not necessarily in the healthiest
I just
way.
want to die. It's over.
Yeah,
no
I'm
one
not saying
cares.
that's
I
the
don't have any
healthiest
more
way.
to give. Yeah, but it's very real
It's
and
wrong.
honest, which God allows us to come to him, right? Elijah speaks to God this way.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
God doesn't shame him for it. In fact,
And
we'll
th-
talk
and
in a
that's-
minute about how God responds.
And that's a good reminder, too. Like, God can handle whatever you have to say to him. I mean...
Yeah, he's the God of the Bible.
So-
Come on, he can
He's
handle
the God
that.
of the-
Yeah, let's not limit who
exactly. He wants your honesty. He wants your heart. But yeah, it's just it's a picture of grace in my mind, because you see the Lord fill him and
Yes.
you know, feed him and give him water and just get him ready for the journey ahead. You know, like he wasn't, like Elijah's story wasn't done at that point. You know, and there's just this beautiful moment of God giving him grace.
Yeah.
And that's what the cross is. It's God giving us grace
Yeah.
to move forward, to have life and life to the fullest because of Jesus and what
Yeah.
he did on the cross.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, to me, I mean, he doesn't stop talking to God, right? In fact, he's very raw and honest with God here. And so he lays down into the bush, falls asleep. He's worn out. We got to be careful. We're human. We're limited. There's times where we are worn out. Elijah is worn out. Mm-hmm. And it says this, all at once the angel touched him and said, get up and eat. He looked around, and there by his head was warm bread baked over the coals and a jar of water. He ate and drank and then lay down again. He's wiped out. He goes back to sleep again. Now, this is amazing. You know, we come to the broom bush. I think that does represent God's grace, a moment of surrender. We have to come back to the cross at moments in our life and say, I'm at the end of myself. Yeah. And Jesus, I need you, and I'm surrendering here. And God meets him. Do not miss this. In the depression, in this lonely place, in this I just want to be done, I'm dead, I'm used up moment, God meets him here in the most gentle way, doesn't rebuke him, doesn't correct him, just nourishes him. You know, and we come to Jesus. He is the bread of life. He is the living water, right? We have to be connected, as John 15 says, to the vine. And then, so he falls asleep again. He just needs, we need nourishment, right? We really do. We need rest. And this says, the angel of the Lord came back a second time and touched him and said, get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you. Now, God has more for him. He just said that. Now, it's really cool. It says the angel of the Lord. There's great conversations around who is the angel of the Lord, right? Is this a picture of Jesus in the Old Testament? Is this God in physical form or in some kind of, form that would interact with us as earthly beings here? And so there's a lot of times where people believe, man, this could be Jesus. Right? There's a representation of God here. And so when you see that angel of the Lord, that's always a question of what's happening. But God has definitely drawn close to him, nourished him, provided for him, said rest, eat, didn't try and teach him in that moment. And then he gets up and moves on to the next part of the journey. And then we find out later that God meets him, not like on Mount Carmel where the fire came, but then he meets him with a gentle and still kind of quiet voice, the whisper. And ministers to Elijah and begins to build him back up. So I think we just want to say, God meets you in that place. Don't isolate. Don't stop calling out to the Lord, right? Seek out those in the church that can help encourage and build you up. And don't be surprised, right, if after even some great spiritual experience, successful things in your life, that all of a sudden there's a come down from that. Be aware, prepare yourself. Make sure you're prepared to rest afterwards. Like, no, it's okay to stop pushing. God gives us Sabbath for a reason. And you and I talk about that a lot. We need moments of rest. You and I were just talking this morning about our own schedules this summer, and man, so many weekends have been full, and us working with our wives to be like, it's okay to just have a down weekend, or let's not do this thing. Like, sometimes you need that. And I know we can get restless in the Silicon Valley. Like, I should be productive. We should do something. Everybody else is posting something on the social media. Let's go to the beach. Let's say we did something with our day. Sometimes you just need to be. And that's all right. And that's good for your family. I know my kids are like, let's do something every hour. Like, it's okay just to be sometimes. So
Yeah.
Man, well, church, we love you very much. We love this story of Elijah and what happened, the way God met him. And I pray that you will experience God in the same way, both on the mountaintop and in the valley. Hopefully, we'll see you at service on Thursday or Sunday.